Balance sheet is not an account, whereas trading profit and loss account is an account, where one account will be prepared, half will be trading account and half will be profit and loss account. Of course, this trading account, profit and loss account and balance sheet will be prepared at the end of the financial year. It's not that it should always be net profit only. So it can be net loss also. If your debit side is more than credit side, then it will be net loss. Hello everyone, I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, today we are in the second session of Unit 4 of the subject Fundamentals of Business Accounting, and this is for first Sem B.B.A students. So as per your NEP syllabus, your Unit 4 of Fundamentals of Business Accounting is Final Accounts of Proprietary Concern. So already in a previous session, we have discussed few of the concepts. So let us quickly recall what we have discussed in a previous session. So I have covered this topic in the previous session, that is financial statements of a company, or what are the final accounts that we are going to prepare at the end of the financial year. So what are the financial statements we have to prepare here? So the first one is trading profit and loss account. Trading and profit and loss account. And the next one is balance sheet. Then we have learned the theory concepts relating to trading and profit and loss account, at the same time balance sheet. Now what is this trading account? So in trading account, we will record all the direct expenses and we will record the opening stock, purchases and all the direct expenses, whereas coming to the credit side, by sales, less returns and by closing stock. So your balancing figure will be gross profit or gross loss. So the results what we get from trading account will be gross profit or gross loss. Now coming to profit and loss account. So here we will record all the indirect expenses. So and indirect income, and the difference will be net profit or net loss. So the main intention of preparing profit and loss account is to know the net profit or net loss of the organization. Next, balance sheet is not an account, whereas trading profit and loss account is an account, where one account will be prepared, half will be trading account and half will be profit and loss account. Coming to the next one, balance sheet. So balance sheet is a statement where we are going to record all the assets and liabilities of the organization in order to know the financial position. So the results what we get under balance sheet is financial position. That is, the total value of assets as well as liabilities can be obtained here. So by trading profit and loss account, we'll come to know the net profit or net loss of the organization, and by balance sheet, we'll come to know the financial position of the organization. So this we all learnt in a previous session. Next, we had solved a problem on trading account. So just a simple problem. As I told you, I'm going to discuss part by part. So first I'll solve the problem on trading account, next on profit and loss account, and next on balance sheet. Later on we shall combine together and solve a problem where all this trading account, profit and loss account and balance sheet have to be prepared together. So then we have learnt about this problems on trading account. So in my today's session, we shall continue with the problems on profit and loss account and balance sheet, so that in my next session, I'll continue with the 15 marks problem. So my dear students, make sure that from the examination of point of view, you might get a 100% 15 marks problem on this financial statement of a company, where you have to prepare trading profit and loss account and balance sheet along with these adjustments. Now coming to today's session, so first we shall discuss what is the format of profit and loss account. Already we have completely learnt in my previous session relating to trading account. So in today's session we shall continue with profit and loss account. So how do you write this profit and loss account, or what is the format? So we'll write the heading profit and loss account for the year ending. Of course, this trading account, profit and loss account and balance sheet will be prepared at the end of the financial year. Okay, so always we wanted to know the financial position at the end of the financial year. So we will not have the date column. Anyhow, we know that we are going to prepare at the end of the financial year. So there is no date column for this. And your format remains same. As I told you, half will be trading account and half will be profit and loss account. So today we are going to discuss only about profit and loss account. So your format remains same. Expenses or losses and amount in the debit side, and revenue or gain and amount in the credit side. Now, in your profit and loss account, you will start the problem with either gross profit or gross loss, what you have got from trading account. So, by preparing trading account, you will come to know the gross profit or gross loss. That's nothing but the balancing figure, right? So, we will begin a problem with either gross profit or gross loss. So, here, if it is gross profit, you will take it as by gross profit. Suppose it is gross loss, then you will take it as to gross loss. Then, in the debit side, you will record all the indirect expenses. Now, what do you mean by direct expenses? The expenses which are directly involved in a production of a particular product is called as direct expenses, where direct expenses will be recorded in trading account. And all the indirect expenses, that is other than the factory expenses, everything will be recorded as a indirect expense. So, the expenses that takes place outside the factory. So, they are termed as indirect expense. So, all the indirect expenses will be recorded in profit and loss account. In the same way, if you come to the credit side, all the indirect income. Now, coming to indirect expenses, if you see about to office and administrative expenses, so whatever the expenses that takes place in office or administration expenses. So, it may be salaries, rent, rate and tax, and office, lighting and heating, insurance, printing and stationery, postage, general charges, telephone charges, audit fees, legal expenses, bank charges. So, these are all what? Office and administration expenses. Now, coming to the next expenses like maintenance expenses. So, you will have repairs and depreciation. And coming to selling and distribution expenses, we have advertisement, travelling expense, carriage outward, commission paid, bank or bad debts. Next, coming to the financial expenses, we have discount allowed, interest on loan taken, then interest on capital. So, how you have to remember? So, in your problem, you will not get all these expenses. So, this is just a format. So, just remember that all the expenses that takes place in the factory goes to trading account and rest all the expenses comes to profit and loss account. You need not segregate like office and administration or maintenance expenses. You can write all the expenses together. Okay. So, this is about your indirect expenses. Now, coming to indirect income. So, we have only few indirect income. Like by indirect incomes, that is rent received, discount earned, commission received, bad debts recovered, interest received. So, these are all indirect income. So, once you are finished with recording all the indirect expenses and indirect income, the balancing figure will be net profit or net loss. So, by preparing profit and loss account, we'll come to know the net profit or net loss of the organization. So, if the credit side is more than debit side, then it is net profit. So, how in trading account, if the credit side is more than debit side, then it is gross profit. Here also same way, if the credit side is more than debit side, then it is net profit. So, you will write it as to net profit transfer to capital account. It's nothing but transfer to balance sheet. Suppose if your debit side is more than credit side, then it is what? Net loss. So, you can write it as by net loss. And in the bracket, transfer to balance sheet or capital account. So, let us take this as transfer to balance sheet. So, this is about your net loss or net profit. So, hope you are clear with the format of profit and loss account. So, we shall go through the simple problem so that you can clearly understand. Now, problems on profit and loss account. So, go through the problem here. From the following particulars, prepare profit and loss account for the year ending. So they have given here, from the following particulars, prepare profit and loss account for the year ending. So here they have given the particulars, amount, particulars and amount, and they have given the gross profit. So where do we record the gross profit? In the credit side, correct? So gross profit in the credit side, rent and tax. So it is an indirect expense. So we'll record in the debit side. Next, printing, stationery and postage, debit side. Office lighting, it is also an indirect expense, debit side. General expenses, indirect expense, debit side. So these are the items from this side. Now coming to the salaries. So it is also an indirect expense, debit side. Insurance premium, indirect expense, debit side. Advertisement, debit side. Depreciation on fixed asset, debit side. Discount received. So it is an income, correct? Or it is recorded in the credit side. Now moving on to the solution here. So how you have to begin? Just we have already identified which are the items to be recorded in the debit side and which are the items to be recorded in the credit side. So just we have to record here. So write the heading profit and loss account for the year ending 31st March 2016. So suppose they have given the date in the question, you have to write the date. That is 31st March 2016. Next, you will be having debit as well as credit side. You know the format. In the debit side, expenses or losses, amount, and in the credit side, income or revenue, then amount. Now, as I told you, first we have gross profit. So, let us transfer that gross profit to where? To the credit side. So, by gross profit, 1,20,000. Next, all the expenses. So, we have rent and rates. So, record in the debit side. How much? That is 8,000. Next one, printing, stationery and postage, 600. Office lighting, 1,000. Next one is general expenses, 600. So record that 600. Next here we have salaries, 20,000. So record that salaries. Next, insurance premium, 2,000. Insurance premium, 2,000 in the debit side. Advertisement, 1,400. Depreciation of fixed asset, 1,000. Next, discount received. So, discount received where we record? In the credit side. By discount received, 200. So, we are done with recording all the expenses, indirect expenses and indirect income. Now, we have to balance both the side and the balancing figure will be net profit or net loss. Now, if you add the total of your credit side, it is 1,20,000 plus 200. So, it is 1,20,200 where in the debit side, it is less. So, 1,20,200 minus all these, you will get this balancing figure. How much? 85,600. Now, your credit side is more than debit side, then what it is? It is net profit. So, to net profit transfer to capital account. So, this is how you are going to prepare your profit and loss account. Hope you are clear with this. We shall go through one more problem. That is, prepare a profit and loss account for the year ending 31st/3/2020 of Shankar. Now, you only have to identify which are the items where we have to record here. Now, gross loss. So, it is a gross loss. So, if it is gross profit, credit side, gross loss, debit side. General expenses, it is an indirect expense, debit side. Repairs and renewals, indirect expense, debit side. Audit fees, indirect expense, debit side. Depreciation also indirect expense, debit side. Now coming here, rent received. So it is a income. So we'll record in the credit side. Bad debts recovered. So it is a income. So credit side. Salaries, it is an expense, debit side. Discount allowed. So it is in the debit side and advertisement in the debit side. So we have identified all the items where we have to record either in the debit or credit side. Now directly go through the solution. So write the heading profit and loss account for the year ending 31st/3/2020. So as usual we will draw the format. Then we'll start with the solution. Gross loss. As I told you, if it is gross profit you have to record in the credit side. If it is gross loss then in the debit side. So to gross loss 8,000. Next we have general expenses, it is an indirect expense, debit side. Repairs and renewals 1000, debit side. Then we have audit fees. So audit fees how much? 1000. So audit fees 1000. Next we have depreciation 6000. So record that depreciation. Next one, rent received 64,000. So we'll record in the credit side. Next, bad debts recovered 3000, credit side. Next, salaries. So it is an expense. So debit side. So salaries 12,000. Discount allowed. So it is also an expense 2000. Write in the debit side. Next, advertisement. It is also an expense. So write in the debit side. So we are done with this. Now we have to balance both the side, and the balancing figure will be net profit or net loss. So if you see the credit side, so it is 64 plus 3000, that is 67,000. So it's not that it should always be net profit only. So it can be net loss also. If your debit side is more than credit side, then it will be net loss. So 67,000 minus all these, you will get the balancing figure 31,000. So here also in this problem, credit side is more than debit side. So it is what? It is net profit. So to net profit transfer to capital account. So hope you are clear with this problem also. Now coming to the balance sheet. So as I told you, today we are going to solve the problem on profit and loss account as well as balance sheet. Now let us see what is the format of balance sheet. So most of you are familiar about it. So we'll be having liabilities as well as assets. So liability, amount and asset and amount. Here we will not record debit as well as credit because it is not an account, it is a statement. Remember, we will not write debit as well as credit because balance sheet is not an account, it is a statement. Now let us see what is the format of balance sheet. So balance sheet as at 31st March 2019. So whatever the date they give in the problem, you have to write that date. Now coming to the liabilities. So liabilities will be in your left hand side where you have to record all the liabilities. Okay, so it starts with capital. Capital is a liability, long term loan, short term loan, sundry creditors, bills payable, bank overdraft, outstanding expenses, income received in advance. So these are the liabilities. Now coming to the assets, so it may be non-current assets, current assets and investments. So if you see here, goodwill, land and building, plant and machinery, furniture, motor car, loose tools. So these are all assets. Investment, outstanding income, prepaid expenses, closing stock, sundry debtors, bills receivable, bank balance, cash, and while coming to the liabilities, we have bills payable also. So yes, bills payable is a liability and bills receivable is an asset. So these are the few liabilities as well as asset. So when you solve the problem, you will come to know where we have to record. But you have to clearly know which are the assets as well as which are the liabilities. Okay, so this you have already learnt in your first PUC. Now coming to the problem here, we shall solve a problem on balance sheet. Prepare a balance sheet as on 31st/3/2019. So they have given the date. On that date, we have to prepare the balance sheet. And they have given lot of particulars here. First, we shall identify which are the assets and which are the liabilities. Now capital. So what it is? It is a liability. Land and building, it is a fixed asset. Furniture, fixed asset. Cash in hand, it is a current asset. Next, sundry creditors, it is a current liability. Bank loan, it is also a liability. Now here drawings. So drawings will record in the liability side. Next, machinery, it is an asset. Bills receivable, asset. Bank overdraft liability. Closing stock, asset. Net profit. So net profit where we record in the liability side. We have to add to capital. So your adjustment will be capital 50,000, add net profit minus drawings. So these adjustment you have to make. Now we shall go to directly solution. Balance sheet as at 31st/3/2019. So draw the format first. Liabilities, amount, asset and amount. Now we shall go through all the assets first. So let us see what are the assets here. So coming here, land and building. So how much it is? 20,000. Next one, After land and building, we have furniture. So, furniture come here, that is machinery. How much? 20,000. Next furniture, 10,000. Next here bills receivable, 5,000. Then what we have? Yes, cash in hand. So, cash in hand, how much? 5,000. Next, closing stock, that is 11,000. So, these are all assets. Coming to liability, as I told you, for capital you have to make adjustment. So, write capital, add net profit minus drawings. Suppose there is additional capital, then opening capital, add additional capital, add net profit minus drawings. Suppose it is net loss, then what will do? Opening capital, add additional capital minus net loss minus drawings. Okay. So, this is how you are going to make the adjustment in capital. So, what is the capital? 50,000. For that, add net profit 5,000 minus drawings 10,000. So, the total has to be written in the outer column, that is 50,000 plus 5,000, that is 55,000 minus 10,000, you will get 45,000. Next, which are the liabilities we have? Sundry creditors and bank loan. So, write that sundry creditors, bank loan, and here next we have bank overdraft, that is 6,000. So, it is also liability. Now, you have to balance both the side, and the total of assets should be equal to total of liabilities. So, if you add here, the total of liability is 71,000 and the total of asset is also 71,000. So, in your financial statement, your balance sheet should tally, but make sure that sometimes there will be a wrong tally also. So, it may be due to compensating error. So, the amount what you get in the balance sheet might be wrong, but still your balance sheet gets tallied. Okay, so this is about your balance sheet. We shall go through one more simple problem. Prepare a balance sheet as on 31st/3/2020. So, let us quickly segregate which are the assets and which are the liabilities. So, capital we will record in the liability side, creditors liability, plant and machinery it's a fixed asset, so asset side. Drawings we have to minus from the capital, correct? So, liability side. Net profit we have to add to the capital, liability side. Loan from Sharon, it's a liability. Next coming here, loan from bank. So, it is also liability. Cash in hand, asset. Sundry debtors, asset. Closing stock, asset. Bank overdraft, it is a liability. Investment, asset. So, this is a segregation. Now, we shall go through the solution. Balance sheet as at 31st/3/2020. As usual, you will draw the format, liabilities, amount and asset, amount. Now, we shall go through one by one. Capital, 14,000. So, what are the adjustment we have to make? Capital, add drawings minus, add net profit minus drawings. Correct? So, capital 14,000, add net profit minus drawing, you will get 17,580. Okay. Now, coming to the next one, what are the liabilities we have? So, we are done with capital. Next, we have creditors. So, write that creditors 2,400. Next, which are the liability? Drawings done, net profit done. Loan from Sharon 4,000. So, record that loan from Sharon 4,000. Next here, loan from bank 4,000. So, it is also a liability. Next, we have bank overdraft 16,000. So, we are done with all the liabilities. Now, coming to the assets. So, which are the assets we have? Yes, plant and machinery 7,520. 7,520. Next, we have cash in hand 600. Then, sundry debtors 6,700. Closing stock. So, what is the closing stock? 9,160. Next, we have investment 20,000. So, record that 20,000 and closing stock 9,160. Now, balance both the side. The total of assets should be equal to total of liability. If you add, the total of liability is 43,980 and the total of asset is also 43,980. A simple problem. So, I have divided into parts so that you can clearly understand. Later on, we shall go through a whole problem which contains all these together. Okay, so hope you have understood how we have to prepare trading account, profit and loss account as well as balance sheet. So what you have to remember, under trading account, we will start with 2 opening stock, to purchasers, less return to all direct expenses in the debit side. Coming to the credit side, by sales, less returns by closing stock. You will balance both the side, you will get either gross profit or gross loss. The continuation of trading account will be profit and loss account. So, you will start your problem with either gross profit or gross loss. Next, you will record all the indirect expenses in the debit side and all the indirect income in the credit side. And if you balance, the balancing figure will be net profit or net loss. So, that net profit and net loss will be taken into the balance sheet. So, how do we record in the balance sheet? So, you will be having the assets as well as liabilities, but you have to know which are the assets and which are the liabilities. Okay, and while making the adjustment in the capital, you will take it as opening capital, add additional capital, add net profit minus drawings. Suppose it is net loss, then opening capital, add additional capital minus net loss minus drawings. Then you will get the balancing figure of capital. So, this is how you are going to prepare your balance sheet. So, in my next session, I am going to discuss a problem on final accounts of a sole trading concern. So, we shall combine all the trading account, profit and loss account and balance sheet together and solve the next problem. So, my dear students, hope you have understood today's session. See you all in my next session with a new topic. Till then, take care. Thank you.